The day has come. You're sitting in front of the test that will determine whether or not you will be accepted into a college or university, whether you will be ready for the future, and whether you're smart or not. Oh, the beauty of standardized tests. The SATs, ACTs, PSATs, and so forth. Something that has been considered as a crucial gear in the mechanism that is our education system might not be as effective, educational, or standard after all. After researching and gathering information on why standardized tests are not helpful, this is what I found. The high stress levels are causing students to perform worse on tests. The tests are not as effective and are taking away from actual learning, and they do not accommodate for the fact that we're not all standard. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to talk to you about the stress from standardized tests. How many times were you certain that you studied everything you could for an upcoming test, that you remembered and memorized everything you need, but as soon as the test is right in front of you, the stress takes over and your brain just freezes up? Well, this is actually caused by the changes of your cortisol levels, a hormone that is produced in the body when a person is under an increased amount of stress. The researchers at Naval Postgraduate School, Northwestern, and Texas A&M University, in their study of stress levels of children, found that on average, students have 15% more cortisol in their system the homeroom period before a standardized test than on days with no high-stakes testing. Put that on top of stress that some students have to already deal with at home, and the stress of maintaining high grades throughout the year as it is, and to add a cherry on top, the stress from fear that if they don't do so good, their parents, guardians, or peers might be disappointed, which would also bring their self-esteem down. This is a lot of stress to put on a student. So due to the high pressure of the test, since it shapes the rest of their future, on top of outside stress, the students might not reflect his or her true abilities on it. Standardized tests only determine which students are good at taking tests, and they are not effective in improving our education system. According to standardizedtests.procon.org, in the article, Do Standardized Tests Improve Education in America? In 2002, the No Child Left Behind Act mandated annual testing in all 50 states. The results? U.S. students went from being the 18th in the world in math in the year 2000 to 40th in 2015. They went from 14th place in 2000 in science to 25th in 2015, from 15th place in reading to 24th place. Even when a student does well on a test, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know and learned all the information. Chances are that they forgot all the information as quickly as they have learned it, and they were just able to memorize and cram the information that they need to know for that day. Throughout each class, both the students and the teachers are mostly focused on learning or teaching the information that will be on the test. Students know that they will need to remember that because they will eventually be graded on it. This is taking away from the original purpose of learning, for learning's sake. In 2007, Al Waynes, a professor in the School of Educational Studies, completed a study of high-stakes testing and its effectiveness that raised a question about the accuracy of standardized tests. He said that such tests have narrowed educational programs to focus solely on what the test will cover instead of cultivating a well-rounded curriculum that will allow students to learn the most and remember what they were taught. Not to mention, students are likely to develop a more negative relationship with school if they're going to give it their all and they're still going to be barely passing or not passing at all. Those students are also likely to resort to cheating to pass or improve their scores, which once again wouldn't be showing their students actual knowledge. Standardized tests are not preparing students for real life, and they are not teaching them how to be creative, think critically, or how to collaborate, which are all crucial skills. We can probably all agree that we're all different, with different ways of thinking, different backgrounds, and different abilities to learn. So how come we're all giving a standard test that is expected to measure what we know? The fact that standardized tests are created to be equal among and for all students requires the assumption that everyone is equal and receives equal education, which is not the case. Students from wealthier households can have access to programs, tutors, or have other family members who have attended college who can help them. Other students might not have access to these things or the same opportunities. In addition, many students with learning disabilities, anxiety, or attention disorders struggle a lot with tests in general, especially the big ones. Even though schools provide them with extra time to complete them, it doesn't take away their anxiety about the test or any other disabilities or disorders they might have. And last but definitely not least, not everyone learns in the same way. However, schools are still using the same methods of teaching on everyone. They are teaching the standard material in a standard way to prepare students for standard tests. It is time that we realize that what might have worked a century ago might not be working anymore. This world is moving on, and it needs people who are taught to do more than just memorize, pass, and forget. The stress that the standardized tests are putting on students do not measure their true capabilities. They are not improving our education systems. They interfere with the true purpose of learning, and because of our differences in learning, thinking, and environment, they cannot measure everyone's intelligence the same. Hey, even the man who created standardized tests himself, Frederick J. Kelly, said that these tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned.